Hello, everybody. This is John Paval with an update on the Wednesday live streams, April 8th, 2026. No, this is not the roundup of big stage productions, which I had promised you would happen today. It will happen tomorrow. We don't have any big stage productions before Friday so far. Anyway, and if we wait until Thursday, we may pick up a couple more to tell you about, because some of these orchestral and other outlets, they just don't provide advance notice more than a day or so ahead of time. So I did want to bring you up to date, though, on three lovely live stream concerts today, each of which is interesting enough to garner your attention, shall we say. Hold on a second. Let me get all of my notes arranged, because as usual, they come unarranged at the last minute. Yeah, I am not perfect. We have a grand Easter concert taking place in Moscow in about 45 minutes from now at 6 o'clock in the evening, European time, noon on the East Coast, etc. We have an iconic work of 20th century modern composition going on in New York City later in the evening in New York City. And then in the evening in Seattle, a pair of contemporary, highly contemporary, and classic quartets, a very classic quartet in Seattle. So it's a lovely evening across the time zones, from 6 in the evening in Europe till 8 in the evening in New York till 7:30 in the evening in Seattle. Hop, hop, hop. You can spend your half a day enjoying these live streams if that is what your pleasure is. So let me start telling you about some of these live streams. I don't always provide individual photos when I'm doing these daily updates, because it's just simpler, but you see the photos there on the screen. And the first of these, coming up in about 43 minutes now, is at the Moscow Cathedral. This will be resident organist Marina Omelchenko of the Catholic Cathedral in Moscow, leading a grand Easter concert. If you haven't had enough Easter yet, you can get it now, with soprano Elena Terentyeva singing along. She's originally from the Republic of Bashkortostan, but she's a soloist with the Novaya Opera Theater in Moscow, and a regular singer at the Catholic Cathedral in Moscow. And the Magnificat Chamber Choir, which is the house chamber music choir of the Catholic Cathedral in Moscow, and the Moscow Regional Philharmonic, which is practically an in-house orchestra. They are regularly appearing whenever the Catholic Cathedral in Moscow wants to bring in an orchestra to play along with the organ. We do not have the details of what they're playing, which is unusual, but I can tell you that they'll be playing works by Bach, Handel, Mozart, Tournemire, De Victoria, and others. This will be in an Easter vein. The photo that they have accompanying this on YouTube and on their website is a picture of Jesus Christ risen from the dead. So this will be very much a religious concert, if that is your pleasure or where your faith leads you. So that's at 7 o'clock in the evening, European time. I misspoke a few minutes ago. 1 o'clock in the afternoon on the East Coast, and 10 o'clock in the morning on the West Coast. Enjoy. Next up will then be something of a superstar pianist, Vicky Chow, teaming up with the Mivos Quartet to celebrate the 100th anniversary of composer Morton Feldman. They're going to do that by playing his monumental 90-minute long work, Piano and String Quartet, live streamed free of charge by Roulette Intermedium Theater, New York's prime avant-garde outlet. This will be at 8 o'clock in the evening in New York City, 5 o'clock on the West Coast, 2 o'clock in the morning here in Europe, and tomorrow noon, Thursday noon, down under in Australia on the east coast of Australia, a little earlier if you're on the west coast out in Perth. This piano and string quartet was commissioned and premiered in 1985 in Los Angeles. It was commissioned by Aki Takahashi and the Kronos Quartet, and it's considered a touchstone of late 20th century experimental music. The Vicky Chow is a Hong Kong Canadian American pianist with over 25 solo and chamber music albums on Nonesuch, Cantaloupe, New Amsterdam Records, Sadiq, and Innova recordings, among others, as her biography says. She's been described as brilliant by the New York Times, and Pitchfork also has referred to her as one of our era's most brilliant pianists. She's worked with people like Tanya Leon, Julia Wolf, Steve Reich, Philip Glass, familiar names, the LA Phil, the International Contemporary Ensemble, etc., etc., etc. The Mivos Quartet, they've been around since 2008, and they're one of these quartets which started appearing back in the 80s, I think, the 80s and 90s. Quartets began appearing, part of whose mission was to commission new works, because they didn't want to just keep playing, piano, the string quartet number 3 by so-and-so in B flat minor or whatever. Okay, it's violinist Olivia Di Prato and Will Overcash. The violist is Victor Lowry Tafoya, and the cellist is Nathan Watts. They have an active international performance schedule, and they are regularly an ensemble in residence at various summer chamber music festivals. So that's at 8 o'clock in the evening on the East Coast of New York. Then we move on to one more live stream, and that is out in Seattle. Nokuthula Ngwenyama's Joy Stepping for Piano Quartet gets its Seattle premiere today, April 8th, performed by the top quartet Espressivo and live streamed for you to discover by the Seattle Chamber Music Society. That will be at 7:30 in the evening in Seattle, which will make it 10:30 at night in New York City, 4:30 in the morning here in Europe, and 2:30 in the afternoon down under in Australia. This is a relatively new quartet put together by people who've been, many of whom have been parts of other quartets. So it's Anna Polonsky on the piano, and Jamie Laredo on the violin, Sharon Laredo Robinson on the cello, and Milena Payaro van de Stad on the viola. They will do Tule Ngwenyama's Joy Stepping for Piano Quartet, which is a contemporary composition. And then they'll do Johannes Brahms Piano Quartet number 1 in G minor, Opus 25, which is about as classical as a quartet as you can get. Anna Polanski joined up with these 3 others. She has experience playing with other string quartets, the Guarneri Quartet, Orion, Juilliard, and Shanghai quartets. She's performed at places like the Concertgebouw in Amsterdam, the Vienna Concerthaus, Alice Tully Hall, Carnegie Hall, Lincoln Center, etc. Moscow born, but she came to the United States as a young girl. Attended in the early 90s, attended Interlochen, Curtis, Juilliard, and now she teaches at Juilliard and also at the Marlborough thing in the summertime. As for Jamie Laredo and Sharon Laredo Robinson, Jamie as the violin and Sharon is on the cellist, for decades they played together in the Kalikstein Laredo Robinson trio, and among the performances they did a lot of commissions and premieres. Among the performances they did was Elegy, composed by Tula Ngwenyama'a for their quartet to play, or their trio to play, the Kalikstein Laredo Robinson trio. So, and then finally, Milena Payaro van de Stad, the violist, she was a founding violist of the Dover Quartet. and played in that group from 2008 to 2022. They won multiple awards back in the early 2010s. She won first prize at the Lionel Tertis International Viola Competition, won prizes at the Sphinx Competition, the Tokyo International Viola Competition. And while she was a member of that quartet, she was also on the faculty at the Curtis Institute and at Northwestern's Bienen School of Music, and a part of the quartet in residence at the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. So, these four people are all steeped in chamber music experience, top of the line. And the Seattle Chamber, I'm not surprised, the Seattle Chamber Music Society is always top of the line. It is not free of charge, however. The first two live streams I told you about are free of charge, but it will cost you, I think, let me double check, I think it's $36 to have a ticket to enjoy that Seattle Chamber Music Society live stream of Ngwenyama's quartet and the Brahms quartet all at once. Lovely evening, I would say. A lot of variety in a lot of different locations. If you're a lover of chamber music and choral music, have at it. It'll be a great evening for you. With that, I'll say ciao for now. I will be back tomorrow on Thursday, though exceptionally, with at about 6 o'clock in the evening European time, noon on the East Coast, and 9 in the morning on the West Coast, with a roundup of orchestral music coming up this weekend. There are things coming in now that people are starting up again after the Easter break in Minnesota and in Boston and in a couple of places in Tapiola, Finland, etc. So you want to tune in tomorrow and hear all about that. I'll say ciao for now, and have a lovely afternoon or evening enjoying some, one, any, or all of these live streams.